A brand new patch has just dropped in Marvel Snap. We've got a ton of different changes and a lot of people are up in arms about them. This is going to be a fully honest view of all the different changes and all the updates that are in the game right now. We're going to go through the new series drops and why people are mad at them. There's new acquisition systems and what the flaws in these systems are. And of course, the card updates that may have killed your favorite decks. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are these brand new series drops. Cards that are dropping from Series 5 to 4 are Master Mold, Negasonic, and Nimrod. Cards dropping from 4 to 3 are going to be Sentry, Silver Surfer, Dazzler, Shadow King Sauron, and Ghost. But you may notice that the cards staying in Series 4 are Darkhawk and Null. A lot of people were expecting Darkhawk and Null to become Series 3 cards this month because that's the way the schedule had been the entire time before, and all of a sudden those cards are staying in Series 4. People are incredibly upset about this, and I think there's good reason to be, because we have seen Darkhawk absolutely running the meta for the past like 2 months. You can slot him into a ton of different decks, and some people don't have him because he hasn't dropped down to Series 3. He hasn't been easy to acquire. Null is an absolute requirement in Galactus decks. Galactus is a big bad, so they spend all their tokens on him, but then they don't have access to Null, and people were super excited, super pumped that Null and Darkhawk were finally going down to Series 3. They were finally going to be a little more accessible, but instead, Marvel Snap's second dinner decided to keep them in Series 4. And the reason that they're keeping them in Series 4 is because there are new card acquisition updates. This information is available on the official Marvel Snap Discord. There are official patch notes on their website as well. However, the card acquisition updates are not on there. I don't really know why. I don't work for Second Dinner. So my best advice, at least at this very moment, is to go on to the Marvel Snap Discord and you'll be able to see this under the game updates. So before we explain why Darkhawk and Null were not moved, we're going to talk about flexible series release, which is of course a really good thing. So from now on, instead of just releasing cards directly into Pool 5, they're going to start actually dropping some cards into Pool 4 so that you can buy them for 3,000 tokens. They're a little easier to acquire. You may be able to just pull them in a reserve as opposed to the 1 in 200 shot of pulling a Series 5 card that doesn't have a pity timer, and a lot of people have never done that, and I've only ever pulled one Pool 5 card, and that was Valkyrie, back when Valkyrie was originally released in the game. That was a good 5,000 collectors levels since then, and no Pool 5 cards, so we all know the difficulty of pulling a Pool 5 card. So now we're gonna have cards dropping directly into Series 4 as opposed to always being in Series 5, which is obviously a great change. A lot of people have been asking for that for many months, and we are able to do that. You could pause the video to read exactly what it is at the flexible series release point. But now we go into the reason that Darkhawk and Null are not in Series 3. We got the flexible series drop, which I personally think is pretty terrible. Currently, all cards are on the same schedule, starting in Series 5, dropping to Series 4, and eventually Series 3. However, the reality is that not all cards are created equally appealing to players. Really. Going forward, we're going to exercise more flexibility on what cards drop series and when. Sometimes this means preserving the series of a card, as is the case with Thanos and Galactus. So basically, obviously, they're definitely keeping the big bads still as Series 5, which I think is completely understandable, and at least they've told us that the cards are going to be in Series 5, which is definitely not the case for Null and Darkhawk not being dropped down to Series 3. Those cards appear to kind of be permanent Series 4 cards at this point, and nobody really knows what the permanent Series 4 cards are. Other times this may mean we drop a card from Series 5 to Series 3 because we simply want more people to experiment with it. And this is where we start to get into the really bad thing. We may even skip a monthly series drop entirely when the meta looks fun and healthy. These decisions will be made on a card-by-card basis on data and player feedback instead of applying a blanket rule to all cards. That is a huge issue. If you go ahead and you spend 6,000 tokens on a card and then the next month, the next week, whatever it is, that card is dropped to Series 3 and you could have saved yourself 6,000 tokens and gotten it for free, or gotten it in another way that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. People are rightly going to be upset about that, especially since you're not going to tell us exactly what you're moving down and when you're moving them down, as shown in this patch update. In our upcoming patch, we're dropping more cards into Series 3 than we have ever before. In addition, some of our more impactful cards are staying in their current series for longer than expected. There are some fun cards in this drop, and we hope we inspire you to experiment with new decks. You're literally keeping the best cards in Series 4, not dropping them down to Series 3, preventing people from having easier access to them, and instead you're dropping kind of the mediocre cards down to Series 3 that people don't really care about. I get that you want the more impactful cards to stay in the higher pools. I sort of get that, but how is this not going to piss people off, to be honest? Yeah, there are some interesting cards that are getting dropped down. Sentry, I don't have. Dazzler, Shadow King, Ghost, I don't have any of these cards, so it's really nice for me because I'm basically gonna have almost a full collection because I'm finally gonna get access to these cards. But most people don't give a shit about them. The cards they care about are the Darkhawks, the Nulls, the Zabus of the world. None of these cards are getting dropped down to Series 3, so if you don't have those cards already, then you're just kind of getting screwed over. My thing is that I wouldn't be so upset about it. I don't think the people would be so upset about it if you had just talked about it and explained it. We've talked about this on this channel before. Communication is the key, and they are not communicating any of these things. There was no warning. They just dropped this on everybody. A lot of people had Darkhawk and Null pinned. They were expecting them to get dropped down. They were going to buy them for 1,000 tokens, or they were going to get them for free. A lot of people were really excited about this new drop because they get to use cards that have been running rampant that they haven't gotten a chance to use before. And instead, we're left with this. Now, some more interesting notes. You're actually going to be able to buy Series 3 cards for tokens. The only issue is that these cards are actually going to be kind of random. So you're going to be able to get your Series 3 card for free, as it has been for the past couple months. However, there's going to be a brand new section called the Series 3 Mystery Card. So you pay 1,000 tokens and you get a random Series 3 card that you're missing. I don't really love it. Why do you get a mystery card and you can't just choose which Series 3 card you want? If you have a ton of missing Series 3 cards, this is going to be a massive mistake to pay for this, in my opinion. You're paying 1,000 tokens and you may end up getting some random Series 3 card that kind of sucks. They're also giving us more ways to earn tokens, which of course is completely welcome. And one of those changes to token acquisition is weekend missions, which is a really solid idea. Every weekend is going to have at least 3 weekend missions, which are win games to earn credits. Pretty cool. Win games with season pass to earn gold. That's good, but not good for a free-to-play player. I think that's a little bit of an issue because you are kind of excluding them from that situation. It seems like kind of a pay-to-win weekend mission thing. I don't hate it. I think it's a decent idea, but I think that there could be a way to make it where it's not just if you have the season pass. Maybe you can win games with cards that are in the season pass, like the variants that we get that everybody has access to, you'll win games with those cards as opposed to being forced to have the season pass card. And also the other weekend mission is win games with newly released card to earn tokens. We'll have to see exactly how many tokens you actually get in these weekend missions. Is it really going to make that much of an impact? We don't know yet because we haven't seen them. Hopefully it does. Hopefully it is a nice, easy way for everybody to gain tokens a little quicker, because the people that don't have full collections, which is, you know, probably 99% of the player base, it's going to make for a better experience. The other changes in this patch are that ranked mode has changed pretty much completely at this point. The number of cubes required to rank up have decreased from 10 to 7 cubes. That means it's going to be a lot easier to move up to the next rank, which is really great. The number of bonus ranks gained when tiering up has been reduced from 5 to 3, which I think is a completely fair thing to do if you're going to lower the number of cubes it takes to go up in one rank. Obviously, this is just to try and help people move up and rank up faster and easier. And some card updates. We have Kitty Pryde officially in the game. Everybody should have her and or acquire her some way. I think everybody's going to be pretty excited about Kitty Pryde. Getting a free card for everybody is really cool. She's not as good as she used to be, of course, but their systems couldn't handle it, so we got to just kind of forgive them. Just live with the card that exists here, and there's going to be plenty of really cool decks that you could build around it. Crystal is completely different now. Originally, on reveal, if she was at the middle location, shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 3 cards. Now, instead, she's still a 4/4, but each player draws a card. It is a change. People have been begging for a Crystal change for a really long time. Is it a good change? That remains to be seen. I have no idea. I haven't tested it. It doesn't seem like a great change necessarily, but I could be completely wrong. Again, this is something I would have to experiment with. But the big change is Wave. Wave has been completely decimated. Her text now reads, on reveal, all cards cost 4 until the end of the next turn. I guess I'm being dramatic when I say she's been decimated, but Death Wave, the deck, Doom Wave, the new Stature, Miles Morales has definitely been completely trashed. From now on, the cost reduction is not going to do anything. You will not be able to play Wave on turn 5 and then have the option to put out She-Hulk, Death, and another card. That is no longer going to work. You're going to be forced to play your 1 card for 4 energy. I'm personally not a big fan because I do think that Wave decks were kind of vital. They hurt decks trying to drop a ton of cards on the last turn. I understand completely though, because things were getting a little out of hand with Wave. So all in all, I'm kind of torn on this change because I don't think that it was necessary, but at the same time, it could be good for the health of the game. So we gotta see what happens. As a result of this, Death is now an 8 cost card instead of a 9 cost card. So it's going to be a little easier for her to get out. But honestly, I really think that the change to Wave is pretty much going to destroy Death. I think most of the time, Death is probably not really going to be worth playing out. Kind of problem is that this sort of buffs Galactus. Obviously, that's the opposite of what people have been demanding. I personally also don't think that Galactus is that big a problem, but you know, like a lot of other people do think that he's a crazy problem and they don't like him. So this sort of buffs Death a little bit in Galactus and kills her in almost every other deck. And White Queen is just a text only change. She's just got clarifying text that says copy the highest cost card in your opponent's hand into your hand. All in all, this is a really interesting update. I think that there's a lot of negatives that people are going to be upset about, and I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching. I know this is a really long video, but I felt like it was an important topic to cover.